Hello and welcome to HyzerMedia's coverage of the 21st Great Eastern Amateur Cup from Tyler State Park. This tournament is brought to you by Bucks County Disc Golf Alliance and BS Upshot Tournaments and Shop, as well as our Patreon family. Thank you to them and thank you to you for joining me for this final round of this exciting tournament. We are Tyler State Park West, and our lead card starting off with Bo Lee at a +6. Nick Caputo, just one stroke back at a +7. Ben Wyckoff, the lefty of the card, at +7 as well. And our third +7 on the card is Joe Johnston. So tight race at the top as we get started on hole 19. Like I said, West. It's a par 3, 241 feet. Straight shot with a right to left finish. Uphill makes it difficult to continue your disc to maybe skip up the hill or get close to the basket, but circle one putts are certainly doable. Bo Lee getting us started with a pretty good shot. Just gets around that tree. He will get started with a birdie look. Nick Caputo second on the card. A little bit lower. Needs to get a good finish. Goes a little bit straighter. He'll have a bit of an obstructed putt, but about the same distance. Ben Wyckoff going with the lefty forehand to get that obvious shot shape needed to get to the hole. Real high and spikes in. A little bit shorter. We'll see if he has a look towards the basket. A couple big trees right around the green that guard the pin pretty well. And Joe Johnston goes real high and spikes it down. Probably similar to about where Ben is. A little bit further away, looks like. And just catches the one skinny tree and an unfriendly kick and roll backwards. This is a even more severe slope than it looks like on camera, and something like that easily could have gotten to roll away quite a bit. Looked like Ben smartly just laid it up, didn't want to maybe force it and catch a tree. And Nick actually has a pretty good look at it uphill, probably looking at a headwind with the open field right in front of him. So now this is Joe for his par and just a bit right side. And now Bo with the last birdie look for the card. Just a bit short. So all four guys real close. They'll be tapping in to finish out the hole. And the weather does not look too bad at the moment. But first round of this tournament was an absolute downpour. This tournament was happening while the remnants of Hurricane Ian were hitting the eastern Pennsylvania area. So slippery conditions on the ground. Fortunately, the skies have closed up for now, at least, as we move over to the second hole, hole 20, par 3, 375 feet, but very far downhill. Opposite shape to the last hole, down and to the right. Bo going with the righty forehand, good shape. It looks like he sawed it off a little bit too early. He's going to be in the rough on that right side. Nick going with the turnover. Needs to get over that log and just barely hits the log pile there.
What can you do?
Tough backhand turnover line. It kind of goes straight for a while before you need to start turning. But with just a little bit more height, he could have done it. Definitely more of a lefty backhand shaped hole. And Ben gets up to the green. He's going to be in the bushes, but we'll see if he has a look at his birdie. Joe catching an early tree right side and kicking pretty far and pretty left, but he's at the bottom of the hill. Not a lot of lines over there. Probably did about as good as he could. You can see how many trees there are. And real quick, I want to shout out, we are giving away a US DGC Air Force One stamped Rock 3 in honor of US DGC just happening. Something that we do on our Patreon regularly. monthly disc giveaways, as well as highlights from every tournament we cover, and a bunch of other benefits. So if you're interested in any of that, you can check that out over at patreon.com/HyzerMedia. Now back to the coverage. We have Ben looking at his birdie. Look, oh, and catching that tree. Should be able to clean up that par. And Joe, to save his par, still from outside the circle, not able to connect. So bogey start, not obviously what you're looking for, but Tyler State Park already being a difficult course, plus the conditions, scoring is not its usual out here. So as long as Bo makes this putt, we'll be getting 3 pars and the 1 bogey on the first 2 holes. And we'll move over to hole 21, par 3, 211 feet, just over that log pile with the cut in it, and a little bit to the right to hit to the basket. Pretty short hole, but a tight gap to hit. Definitely 4 hands. Ben probably has the advantage here as the lefty backhand. And Bo does get through, saws it off a little bit. He'll be maybe circle's edge. Nick going with the backhand again, just a little bit too low with the turnover. Tough to get a disc to go high and still continue to turn as much as you need it to. Ben going real high, gets through clean, and that's a putt. Probably the best birdie look we've seen yet. Joe turned that very far over out of his hand and then catches a tree. So he's going to have still a lot of work to do to get up and down to avoid another bogey. Catches a limb and still short of the log pile. Probably looking to give that a little bit more of a run. Ben looked a bit disappointed with that. Joe looked more like he was maybe just laying that up, make sure he was going to get no more additional strokes. And Bo with a long look for a birdie to extend his lead. Oh, and just off the top. So a much closer look now for Ben to get the first birdie of the group for the round. Nice straddle putt just over the cage. And that will get him back to tied. Back down to 6 down, tied for the lead. Only 1 birdie on this hole for this card. Playing as the 3rd easiest hole at exactly even par today for the entire division. So if 1 birdie comes out of the 3rd easiest hole, that kind of gives you the expectations for maybe this entire round. Rain did start to pick up here a little bit, as you can kind of see on the camera lens. Going back uphill, hole 22 is a par 4, 375 feet. Slight bend from right to left, pretty tight lines. Left side, as we see Ben going over there, is not the ideal side. You really want to be on the fairway. Off to the right is a little bit better, as you still have a better angle getting up. Both sides are probably equally as rough. Good shot for Bo, right in the fairway, and this is sawed off and catches a tree for Nick. Joe going very wide, catching the tree. Probably looking to flip something up, going up the hill, something that'll keep pushing straight. Similar to this, but off the tee. And maybe a bit too high. Still on the left side. Looking like Joe's going to be trying to get up and down for his birdie again. Oh, and Nick catching an early tree and getting a horrible kick. Essentially going straight to the right. And now is on that right side trying to get back into the fairway. And cut rolls back to the left side. This hole is playing tough for this card. Was playing about a quarter stroke over par for the field, so not surprised to see them having trouble. Bo almost getting up to the green, catching maybe the last tree he needed to miss. Oh, and Nick also catching maybe a fortunate tree. That had some speed. Might have gone long the basket into the brush. And pretty decent forehand roller out of the bushes to get up onto the green for Joe. Bit too nose up and high out of Bo's hand. He looks like he's parked for his par now. And Ben will be as well. And Joe to save the bogey. Excuse me, to save his par, he'll now be tapping in his bogey. Just a bit low for both of those guys. Now we'll just be cleaning up these putts. Shout out to Bo for wearing all HyzerMedia colors. Blends very well with our graphics here. So these guys will be moving over to hole 23, heading back down the hill. Again, got to get around or over that log pile, and then slow down as you approach the basket with a slight drop off behind and thick rough behind that. So downhill, not really making the distance too difficult. It's really more of hitting your line and getting the right speed coming in. Ben with the forehand real wide. And a little bit of a roll, still rolling towards the basket. Wow. It's not really much of a hill once you get down to this flat side, but somehow Ben's disc just wanted to keep rolling. Got another extra 30 feet or so. And a little bit too high for Bo. He'll be a bit obstructed behind that log pile, but should be able to get up and down. And Joe, left side, seems to be just a bit off. Not throwing necessarily bad shots, just a couple feet off, and results in not easy second shots or looks for birdie. Nick turning that one over into the woods. I believe this is him trying to come out to... Yeah, he's edge of the green backside, but he'll have a look to save his par. Bo going with a big flex forehand. Steep angle, very stable putter there. Good approach. Joe looking to do the same thing. And sails long. Gets down that drop off. And Ben with that long roll actually has a look for that birdie and just high. Actually fortunate to get saved by the number plate and the flag from going long. And great putt for Nick to save that par. That might have been circle's edge or beyond. Had to throw a bit of a turnover putt to get there. Joe not able to replicate from a step or two inside of that, but great putt from Nick nonetheless. So these guys will be moving on to our first par 5, 551 feet. Going straight up the hill, as we saw there, making a hard left, then a long straightaway all the way down to this basket with out of bounds road just behind. Not the longest par 5 you'll ever see, but certainly difficult. Kind of the theme here for Tyler. Not the longest par 4s and 5s, but the lines you have to hit, the terrain, and just the scoring opportunities not quite there, despite the lack of distance on a lot of these holes. And great shot by Nick, pretty much an ideal landing zone. Any straighter than that, you're going to be up the hill too far. And any shorter than that, your angle's going to be more difficult. Joe with a kick off the tree, but maybe not the worst place. He's in line with the fairway, just not an ideal spot to be thrown out from. And as you can see, just pitching out pretty much. This is more where it looked like he was going to land. Little obstructed, but straight down the fairway looking. And pretty good shot for Ben. Skips a little bit to the left side. Should be able to lean out for something. Bo going with a forehand turnover. Almost a beautiful shot. Just catches that tree as it was about to flex back. And Nick doing pretty much what you got to do. Like I said, you don't have a lot of distance, so he got a good first shot. Kind of just pitched up for his next shot. And got to a good place to still be able to attack. And Joe with the forehand roller still going. Pretty good recovery shot. Probably within 150 to 200 of the basket. And Nick, after two great disc golf shots, is not able to get through the tight gap here. Oh, Ben with a very similar lie, getting only one tree further, kicking right. Bo with another flex forehand and beautiful. Gets up to maybe circle's edge, and that I believe will be for his birdie luck. Nick with a much better shot through the same gap he was attempting to in his last shot, and he'll have a putt. I believe that is for his par now. And Ben not quite able to get it all the way up to the green. Maybe have a long look at it, but that'll be the risk he's trying to decide to avoid this. Going out of bounds long. Almost hitting catch cam Wendy, just ducking underneath. Yeah, and Ben a little bit too far, especially after seeing Joe go long. Deciding to smartly lay it up. And Bo airballing his birdie putt. And other than the one errant tree kick for Nick, he pretty much played that hole perfectly. And great recovery putt for Joe. The unfortunate stroke for the out of bounds, but able to recover. Again, also played the hole pretty well. And also a nice uphill putt for Bo to save his par. And the bogey for Ben will give Bo back the lead as we go to hole 25, par 3, 336 feet. Out of bounds down the hill right and up the hill left if you go too far. And wrapping all the way around. So this is technically an island, although the spot that you have to cross is right in front of the tee pad here. Drop zone. If you're not able to get in bounds, as we see Bo not able to do. Not a bad shot. Looks like he wanted that to flex back, but just never did. You can see it's a little bit breezy here, a little bit more open hole, especially for Tyler. And good shot for Nick. Probably not going to want to run that. The basket is pretty close to the out of bounds, but for a par shot, that is just what you're looking for. And this needs to come back as well. Oh, and it does. Lucky tree kick for Ben. Joe looking to do the turnover. Doesn't quite get it turned over enough, but he'll be up by Nick. Able to probably just lay up, tap in that par. And this needs to sit as well. And another out of bounds stroke for Bo. Fortunately, after the drop zone, you do move up. You don't rethrow. HyzerMedia does have an Instagram where we post highlights of the rounds that we post and updates of where we're filming and other fun things. If you want to give us a follow over there, please do so. Oh, and Nick actually giving that a bit of a run. You can see how close that out of bounds is. So it's a bit scary, but he gave it a nice floaty bid. So Ben, just a couple feet left. Everybody else just about tap-ins. And Bo going to be getting the double bogey here is going to flip-flop with Ben, giving him the outright lead. Excuse me, the triple. So 2 strokes back of Ben now. Unfortunate hole for Bo after playing pretty clean thus far. Moving over to hole 26, one of the more difficult holes on the course. Par 4, 438 feet. You're trying to get somewhere right side or down into the valley on the left side. Give yourself an approach up to this very difficult mound green, where it's pretty much a straight drop off on all sides. The mound is probably no more than 20 feet around at the base, giving you an idea of what it is compared to the size of the circle. Ben turned it over a little bit, but gets past that first initial mound. You can see just in the top corner, that is the basket on this par 4, so he should have a pretty easy up and down for a birdie. Joe kicking off a couple trees, but lands pretty much in that landing zone on the right side that you're looking for, maybe a little bit shorter. And that is the left side that you're looking for, but up against that mound, you're going to be a little cut off. It's probably going to have to throw a high turnover or something like that to try to get up to the mound. Nick with a pretty good straight shot again, just a bit low. We've seen it a couple times out of him already this round. But keeping it straight may be more important in his mind than trying to really go for it. And Bo with a great shot. Can't quite tell if that stayed up on the mound, but getting all the way up there in 2 shots. Joe not on the fairway. Having to throw a big high turnover. Kicks down, and yeah, that's right at the base. So he'll have a choice to make. He can try to run it, risking going all the way down the bottom. Or maybe lay up. And Ben will be faced with the same choice, but for his birdie, just catching that last big tree. And that looks like it probably stayed. And Ben, real quick, just lays up, not wanting any of that. Joe looking like he gave it a bid. And you can see it on the ground now, able to just sit down. Oh, that was for Bo's birdie. Unfortunate. to have such a close putt and not go all the way down. There actually is that one tree behind to the left of the angle we're looking at now that can stop your discs, and it did for Bo, but not able to capitalize. See how carefully these players are walking up and down this mound with how muddy it is, and you can kind of hear it. The rain is starting to come back a little bit as we get towards the middle part of this course. Hole 27 is a par 4, 489 feet, one mando tree you have to go to the right of. Pretty much a straight shot with a little bit of a left finish, then approaching this very heavily guarded green to try to give yourself a putt. Left side and down the hill is a little bit more open. So big backhand hyzer will get you there. You need to go a little bit wider than what we just saw Nick. Lefty turnover. Kind of surprised he didn't go forehand for this. More of the shape. Maybe he wanted to try to get more of the distance. Only 489 feet, but a little bit uphill to start. And Bo got most of the way up there. Caught something right at the end. And that's kind of the line you're looking for, as long as it gets through clean and beautiful. Skips a little bit down to the left, but he passed those trees. Joe should have a good look to try to get up and down.
Nice shot. There you go.
So pretty out of position for Nick, but gets back into position, maybe able to get up and down to save his par. And there's the forehand out of Ben. Just needed to get a little bit more of the distance first. And after 2 shots, he's about where Joe's tee shot was. And Ben getting maybe circle 2's edge, maybe a little bit outside. Still have to get up and down. I believe to save his par. And big turnover for Bo. Doesn't quite get it turned over enough. He'll definitely be closer to circle 2's edge on the backside. Maybe try to find a window into the green. Joe with the big turnover. Kind of pushes further left. Maybe the wind coming off the fields to our right. But he'll have a long, maybe edge of circle, 35-foot look towards the basket. And a little bit of a backside window that Ben's going for. And Nick maybe giving that a little bit of a forehand run. Catching a little branch, he should be just able to put it in from there. And now Joe for a birdie look. And nails the putt. Great birdie. Having a little bit of a struggle the rest of this round to start. But not too many birdies from this card in these conditions. I believe that's only the second one we've seen in the whole round. So, just goes to show, like I said earlier, the difficulty of the course plus the conditions. These guys really aren't playing bad at all. So a birdie out here is going to be gold for your score. So as we finish these front 9 holes, we're going to be moving over to the last 9 holes of this tournament. Holes 28 through 36. Thank you to our supporting sponsors. Thank you to you for watching, as always. And we're heading over to the back 9. I hope you'll join us over there to see the exciting conclusion to this tournament. See you in the next hole.